Bold Moves Radio. Tonight is a special day on a special program on Bold Move Radio. We welcome you, all our viewers and our listeners. And I'm your host tonight. My name is Tsuni Baloyi, aka Eugenia. So tonight on this program, we are focusing on 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. As we all know that it has kick-started on the 25th of November, and it will end on the 10th of December on the International Human Rights Day. So tonight on this program, we are focusing more on the support of the victims of violence. So in support of our victims, we will be looking more into the interventions that are there to help the victims. It's quite often that when we have awareness campaign during these 16 days, we often focus more on the effects, the types of violence, what causes the violence, and all those things. But tonight on Bold Moves, we are turning the table. The focus is on the support. The focus is on what can you do, where can you get help when you need help as a victim. So as we continue on this program, we have our special guest who is a specialist who deals more on the intervention part of it. So our guest for tonight is Mantandi Mageza. She's our guest from NPA, SACO unit. So Mantandi, welcome you to Bold Moves Radio. You can introduce yourself and greet our viewers and our listeners.
Good evening, Zuni, and thanks for hosting me. My name is Thandi Mageza. I'm from National Prosecuting Authority under the unit called SOCA, that's Sexual Offences and Community Affairs. I'm one of the site coordinator of the Tutuzela care centers around Limpopo.
Thank you so much, Mantandi, for such an insightful introduction. So as we already indicated that it's about gender-based violence. So Mantandi, can you enlighten us? What is the general overview of gender-based violence? What can you say about it?
Zuni, gender-based violence is very much complex, it's very much broad. When we're talking about gender-based violence, we're talking about rape, we're talking about trafficking in person, we're talking about sexual assault, we're talking about domestic violence. That's some of the cases that we're attending in our Tutuzela care centers on daily basis.
Okay. So Mantandi, as you have already heard that today we focus more on support. So you are coming from a Tutuzela Center. I see here it says you are a site coordinator or facilitator. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners what is a Tutuzela Care Center?
A Tutuzela Care Center is a one-stop center. It's a place where we are turning the victims of gender-based violence into survivors. When we're talking about the Tutuzela Care Center, it's a multidisciplinary approach program where we're attending all these things under one roof. We do have a police officer there, we do have a doctor, a forensic nurse, National Prosecuting Authority, and we also have social development, and also the NGOs under one roof. Okay. It's a one-stop center, in fact. Yes.
Okay, maybe tell us more on the purpose, or why was the Tutuzela Center established? When was it established, and why was it established in the nation?
A Tutuzela Care Center was established long time ago. Eastern Cape, they used to have a so-called ukutwala. Down there, Eastern Cape, like an old man will just go to a family and find a young girl, age 15, 10, and said, "This is my wife." From there, the girl will disappear from her household or from her house. Then the family will go out and look for that girl, only to find that that particular man decided to marry such an infant, allow me to say an infant or a teenager. So it's where people from that side decided to lay charges against all these men. They say, no, what they are doing is not allowed. This is a criminal offense. So it's where they've started all these Tutuzela care centers. But the government decided to say, aye, man, let us take all these initiatives and spread them around.
Can I disrupt you a little bit? Your camera, it's down. We can't see your face. Can you maybe adjust it so that we can be able to see your face a bit? Yeah, thank you. You can continue. Sorry for the interruption.
So it's where people from Eastern Cape
You can remove
started to lay the charges against them. So the government said, no, let us spread all these Tutuzela care centers around the hospitals, around our local hospitals, so that people can get help. Because they were no longer concentrating on the Ukutwala issue only. So then they started to concentrate on all gender-based violence cases. Even the child abuse, it falls under gender-based violence. Now we also call it gender-based violence and femicide, because a lot of women are being killed on a daily basis by their partners. Yes.
So if I hear you clearly, you are highlighting that a Tutuzela care center was established because of the rising of gender-based violence cases in our country. So our government have seen that a lot of victims are not receiving enough support. So they came up with an initiative to establish a Tutuzela center.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe share a light with us. How can one access the Tutuzela Center?
We do have ±8 Tutuzela care centers around Limpopo, but nationwide we do have like 62. Last week we were launching another one at the Dilokong Hospital around Limpopo. So each and every person from the crime of sin, you can go straight to the Tutuzela care centers without even going to the police station. It's where you can get your services in full under one roof. It's not a must that you can go to the police station. You can go straight to the hospital where there is a Tutuzela care center, where they can assist you without telling you that you must go back to the hospital. Because the reason of these Tutuzela care centers was to shield all our victims of gender-based violence, not being intimidated around the crowds. Because like, for instance, let me give you an example, Zuni. People can go to the police station. Just imagine the charge office. There are a lot of people standing there. Some want to certify their documents. Some they are just there to lay charges, and you are there, you have been raped. How do you present your case in front of people?
It becomes difficult. So, Mantandi, yes, we are going to take an ad break now, and then we'll continue from there.
Okay, thank you.
Here it is. Streaming 24/7.
24/7. Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Africa, nakupenda sana. Oh, Africa. How do we tell this? Okay, are we back? Okay, welcome back to Bold Moves Radio. I'm your host, Zuni Baloi, aka Eugenia, and tonight it's our special program that is focused more on gender-based violence, as we are commemorating our 16 days of activism against women and children. And tonight we have our guest, Mantandi Mageza from NPA SACO unit. So we have been discussing more on the general overview of gender-based violence and issues around the support that is there for our victims, because a lot of times we focus more on the violence itself. But tonight on Bold Moves Radio, we are changing the game. We are focusing more on the support, the intervention that is there, and the help that is there. Welcome back, Mantandi. Before we will go on an ad break, we were talking much about how do you get to get help at Thuthuzela Center, and what are the procedures that one has to take in order to access them? Because like you are indicated, you said, if I remember well, you said we have 8 of them. Maybe if you can list them where they are, so that even our listeners and our viewers will be able to know their nearest Thuthuzela centers and the procedure to go there. Do I just walk in and go there and say, I am a victim of this kind of a crime or kind of a situation? Or do I have to stop by somewhere? Is there any forms, is there any procedures that has to be followed for me to get help at the Thuthuzela Center?
As I've said, Zuni, that Thuthuzela Care Center, you can walk in from the scene of crime straight to the Thuthuzela Care Center. We do have one at Musina. We do have another one at Chilizini, another one at Giani, that's Kensan Hospital, another one at Mankweni, another one at Sishiho Hospital, another one at Roblesdal, another one at Mkopani, and the new one at Dulokung Hospital. So there's no ticket. In fact, you just walk in from the crime of sin. Then you walk in, then you will get assisted over there. And we do have a lot of services that we are rendering there at the Thuthuzela Care Centers. Because the main reason is to reduce the secondary victimization. So the services that were offered at the Thuthuzela Care Centers, there is a site coordinator, that's myself. I'm welcoming and comfort the victim. When you walk in, I'll welcome you and I'll also comfort you. Another thing, I'll do all the explanation of medical examination, which will be conducted, and whether clothing must be taken or evidence collection. Because, you know, it's not easy to examine someone who has been raped. You need to explain every procedure to that particular victim. And another thing, they say we mustn't call them victims, we must call them survivors. The reason they've decided to walk into our work of place, because they've survived something from where they're coming from. Another thing, it's like we need to give them a consent form so that they must sign before allowing the medical officer, a doctor or a forensic nurse to examine them. During the examination, the nurse must be present to assist. Maybe this particular victim come across a male doctor, so the female nurse must be there to assist. And also to give courage to that particular victim. After the medical examination, the survivors must be taken to the bathroom. We have the showers. We are always giving them, we call them a comfort pack. Inside that comfort pack, there is a toothbrush, there is a face cloth, a soap, a body lotion, roll-on, sanitary pads, and some. And also, if a victim is a minor, we do have put some like crayons and some crayon pads, so that after the examination, she can keep herself busy while still waiting for the police officers to conduct their own duties there. So an investigating officer will interview the survivor and take the statement. After the examination, after taking a bath, they will give you a warm meal to eat. And after the counseling, then the police officer will get there and start to assist that particular victim. In our Thuthuzela Care Centers, we do have a statement-taking office. So we'll lead that particular victim to that office so that they can take her statement. Like if the victim is not ready, we'll allow her or him to go back home, then we'll call her again to come when he's ready. Because sometimes they are still having that thing that, you know, I've been raped, a lot of people are talking to me, they're asking me a lot of questions. So we are giving her time before the investigating officer can take a statement. A social worker will also provide the counseling inside the center, or a psychologist. A nurse will arrange all the follow-ups, the visits, the treatment, and medical for sexual transmitted diseases. For instance, the HIV and AIDS. A referral letter or appointment will be made for long-term counseling. Like if you have visited our center today, we'll tell you to come back, like to come again next month. After next month, we'll make another appointment so that you must come. We'll discharge you like after 3 months. Yes. The victim or a survivor is offered a transportation home by the police officer. We do have the cars from the unit FCS. These cars are not labeled. People will not even know when you arrive home that you are from the police station. The survivor is kept informed of the progress of the matter of the court through the victim assistant officer. We do have a victim assistant officer in our centers. The very same victim assistant officer, he or she will also do the so-called court preparation. We need to prepare this particular victim before he court. Because a court is not a child's play. And a lot of people are not used to the court settings or to the court environment. That's why we need to prepare these particular victims there at the Thuthuzela care centers. And also we arrange a consultation with a specialized prosecutor. This particular prosecutor will call her or him a case manager. He needs to consult with this particular victim after the examination. That's what is happening there, or the services that we are offering there at the Thuthuzela care centers. It's a nice environment. Someone can feel like, oh, I can stay here without even going back home. More especially for what happened to you, wherever they've raped you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mantandi, for such an insightful information. We will take another break and we'll continue after that.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm just going to
streaming 24/7.
24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
Welcome back, our listeners, our viewers on Bold Moves Radio. Tonight, I'm your host. I'm Zuni Baloyi, aka Eugenia, and tonight I'm hosting a special program on 16 days of activism against women and children. As we all know, it's 16 days started on the 25th of November up to the 10th of December. It's an International Human Rights Day. So tonight we have our guest, Mantandi Mageza, who is from NPA, SACO unit. So we are dwelling much on the support of our victim. Tonight, I have learned that we don't call our people victims. Instead, we call them survivors. So before we went on an ad break, she was explaining all the services that are offered at a Thuthuzela care center, which is a secure care wherein they assist victims of violence, from administering all processes that needs to be taken. From what she was presenting, I've learned that the services at a Thuthuzela care centers, they are holistic. They are all basket of services, and they are working as a multidisciplinary team, and they are integrating services. From what she has presented, we have learned that at the Thuthuzela care centers, we have doctors, we have police personnel, we have social workers, we have everyone from justice that are making sure that our survivors are receiving care and support in order to go through the process of dealing with what has happened to them. It's either they are reporting the case to the police, they are opening a case, or they need psychological help. So a Tutuzela Care Center is there for every survivor, every victim, for them to be able to be assisted to go through the journey, not alone, but with the support of all professionals that will be found at the Tutuzela Care Centers. She also touched on the fact that most of our survivors, most of our victims, they are not comfortable to go to the police station and report a case because maybe they might be issues of re-traumatization. So a Tutuzela Care Center is there for us to assist in order for people to be freely and be able to report their cases in a safe space where confidentiality is guaranteed. So Manthandis, thank you for such an insightful information. Maybe you can also continue and share with us, since the Tutuzela Care Centers, you highlighted that there are 8. And if I listen to it very well, it's found in districts, and maybe people from the peripheries might not be able to access them. Maybe share with us what would be the first step if someone is in the periphery and want the services. Can the VEP assist? And also, where can they get help in the nearby areas?
Before I proceed with that one, let me quickly say this. Inside our Tutuzela Care Centers, we do the explanation of the outcome and updates of the court process. Reason being, some other people, like they've arrested, for instance, John yesterday. After 2 weeks, John is walking around the streets. Then they will come back to you and say, why John is out? So we are always calling them, giving them the outcome of the bail, the outcome of everything. That they must know that even the perpetrator, they do have their own rights. I don't want to dwell more on them. They do have their own rights. So as you are saying that, what about the people from the remote areas? What must they do? We do have the supporting, let me say, supporting structures, or we call them our foot soldiers. We do have the victim empowerment centers. We do have the NGOs. We do have like people who are working around the rural areas, who do assist us. A lot of people can even, the people around their area, they can go to their nearest VEP centers to report the case. The VEP center will send them straight to our Tutuzela Care Centers, and also to guide them what to do. Because we're always encouraging, more especially the rape victims, not to take any bath after the rape. Reason being, so that we can be easily collect the forensic evidence. So there at the VEPs, they do attend our workshops. They are equipped. They will tell you what to do and not to do this and that. So we do have the VEP centers. We do have the VEP centers even at our local police stations. We do have the NGOs, like around our Tutuzela Care Centers. We do have Childline South Africa. We do have Future Families. These are some of our foot soldiers. So people must also go to their nearest clinics. We do have a good relationship with our local clinics. At the local clinic, they know what to do. They will give you, they call it a starter pack. After the rape, they will give you a pack of ARVs. Then they will call the ambulance to take you straight to the nearest Tutuzela or to the nearest hospital. Yes. And we also have like, when I just want to talk about the interventions, we do have the places where, like, for instance, if the uncle who raped that particular girl, we need to remove that particular girl from her homestead. Then we do have the places like Kuseleka. Kuseleka is in Polokwane. We do have Irish House in Guyane. We do have Toyando, place of safety. We do have Takalani Children's Home. We do have Noah's Ark around Sanini. We do have Holy Family is down there at Maruleng. So it's some of the places where we are taking these people so that they must take care of them while they are still waiting for the dates of the court. And sitting there, it doesn't mean that they are not attending school. The social workers make some arrangements for them to attend school.
Okay. So, Mantandi, from our viewers on social media platform, we have a question from Tefuli Secha, who is asking if, okay, let me just quote the way she indicated, or he indicated, I'm not sure of the gender. Can I ask your guest, what do I do if I was raped a long time ago? Can I still report it?
Zuni, when we talk about a rape, in court we do have so-called oral evidence. Even if we don't have that forensic evidence, each and everyone is allowed to report a rape case. For instance, allow me to talk about this a little bit. We do have a minor child. When they examine that particular child, the doctor or the forensic nurse will tell you that there was a penetration. So some of the things that can prove that this particular girl been penetrated. So, but we don't have any evidence, like forensic evidence. There, we are going to rely on oral evidence. People are still allowed to report such cases.
Okay.
So even near rape, I bol. Reported case, because the doctor will tell you that the hymen is no longer there. That's the sign that this particular girl has been raped. So people are still allowed to come and walk in and report such cases. Because there is a lot of trauma in rape, a lot of trauma. So they need help, such people. And we also need to refer them to the specialty. We do have the psychologists. They need to help them.
Also, the one at Mutsetweni, which is Mutsetweni and Irish House, and others that I might not have quoted them well. So my question would be, Mantandi, for how long can one stay in such institutions while maybe you are still trying to resolve their case, or there are still other issues that needs to be resolved? Like you indicated, if a child is raped by the uncle, then it means after maybe it went to court and the perpetrator is released back home, then we have to remove the survivor or the victim. So how long can one be accommodated in such an institution?
We don't have a specific time frame, Zuni. The reason being, some only to find she's been raped, even physically, she do have like physical injuries. Some they've like what do you call it, broken jaws. So after, you can't even touch such a victim. We need to counsel her. After the counseling, we'll take her to the examination room where the forensic nurse is going to do the forensic examination. After the forensic examination, we need to do, we call it the intake forms. From there, we need to call the police officers. Like there are some other, like, let me call them special cases. Like a minor child's been beaten by the mother or such things. We need to call all those people who are working with the camera to come and take the photos. So you cannot say that you will attend that particular victim within an hour, then we discharge that particular victim. No. So we need to take time with that particular victim.
Okay.
And we must also refer, like, for instance, when the teeth are broken, we need to send them to the x-rays.
Okay.
Maybe they can stay there for like 5 hours. But a rape case is an emergency. The moment it arrives at our Tudizela care centers, we must take care of it as soon as possible. More especially, we cannot allow that particular person to stay for more than 72 hours, because we also rely on forensic evidence. The more you stay, the more we are losing that evidence. That particular victim will go to the loo and urinate, and it's where we are losing our evidence. That's it.
Okay. To our viewers and our listeners, you are welcome to ask questions to our guest for clarity and for more insight. So, as she is still highlighting or indicating, what I've quoted from what she said is that every case is treated unique, and it's given the necessary support it requires. So don't shy away from reporting a case because you know about a similar case that has happened in KZN and where, and nothing has been done. So if you are a victim or a survivor of any kind of domestic violence, you are welcomed to reach out for help. As we continue on Bold Moves Radio, we are going to take another break so that to allow our viewers to also throw in some questions.
This is
Bold
This time I think I'm gonna
Moves
15 minutes.
Radio.
streaming 24/7.
24/7.
South Africa, South Africa, South Africa.
Boldly breaking barriers and limitations.
Welcome back to Bold Moves Radio. I'm your host, Zuni Baloi, aka Eugenia. Tonight, I'm bringing you a special program that is focusing more on 16 days of activism against women and children, which started on the 25th of November up to the 10th of December, which is an International Human Rights Day. So tonight we have our guest, Mantandi Mageza from NPA SACO unit, who is a site facilitator of a Tutuzela Care Center. So our main focus tonight is not how the violence happened and its effect, but we are focusing more on supporting our survivors and our victims, and how can we intervene and where can we get help. Mantandi, welcome back. You were still sharing on how long can one stay. You were highlighting on issues of different kind of incidences of someone going for a dental checkup or other issues. So in this case of children and women, do you have special units for children and units for women, or do you accommodate them in one area?
We are accommodating them under one roof, but we do have like some rooms. They are child friendly. It's a child friendly environment place because the people who designed the Tutuzela Care Centers, they tried by all means so that they must bring like you see the setup of a crash, the paintings, the toys, even those mini sofas, those small chairs, bright colors. So it's where we're accommodating all those minor kids. Then we do have another dining room or a sitting room where elderly people or adults can dine there.
Mantandi, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Thank you for that clarity. So our viewers, our listeners, you heard it well that we have user-friendly Tutuzela Care Centers that accommodates our children, that accommodate our women, and they are user-friendly for all of them. So Mantandi, you are highlighting that you are a site a facilitator and coordinator. So I want to check with these professionals that you're working with. Are they stationed at the Tutuzela Care Centers, or they visit when there's an incident reported? Do we have people highly employed at the Tutuzela Care Centers that we have been mentioning?
Yes, we do have highly employed people. We do have a forensic nurse. The forensic nurse is always there. She or he is not allowed even to move out of the Tutuzela Care Center because anytime someone can walk in, a victim can walk in and he or she needs help. We do have social workers. Zuni, allow me to tell you that social development is the heartbeat of the Tutuzela Care Centers. The TCC cannot operate without social development. So they are doing all the psychosocial services with us there at the Tutuzela Care Centers. We do have the police officers. What I can say, some police officers, they are always telling us they are running short of staff. So we are always calling them. But the moment we call them, within an hour, they will come and assist us. So we never experienced any problem with the police officers, any doctors, any social workers. They are always there to assist because they know it very well that a rape or any form of gender-based violence is an emergency. Those kind of people need to be attended.
Okay, listeners and viewers, remember you are encouraged to ask questions. This is a safe space. This is a safe platform for us to learn and to understand what can we do to assist our brothers and our sisters and our children who are victims of gender-based violence. So our guest tonight is Mantandi, like I highlighted, from NPA. So you are encouraged to share or to ask questions in all our social media platform. Remember, we have Bold Moves on Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel. We are live as Bold Move Radio. So you are encouraged to ask those questions so that tonight you get all the clarities that you've been seeking. So as we continue on this 16 days of activism, Mantandi, maybe you can share with us some of the cases that are mostly common in our province that you are working with or that you are dealing with in the Tutuzela Care Centers.
Rape. In fact, each and every day there is a walk-in of rape. Each and every day. Rape is it's our daily bread. As our president Asuburile Ako, this gender-based violence is a second pandemic. Rape is our daily bread. We do have those of domestic violence, but there are few. But rape, rape every day. And I'm talking only about the reported cases. What about the case The people who are coming to the Tutuzela Care Centers, they are there to report their cases. But what about the people who are staying at home, not even to report these cases? That's our challenge. That's another challenge we're facing at the Tutuzela Care Centers because people will come late after like 2 years. I wanted to rape, but my mother said this and that. And even the people at home will tell you that, you know what, it's fine. Some of the challenges is but we do have walk-ins every day that rape.
Our viewers and our listeners on Facebook, we have Patamedi Mohali, who is contributing, also saying SOCA unit in the National Prosecuting Authority, which is in brackets Sexual Offense and Community Affair Unit. Thank you for such a clarity. And also they highlighted that we appreciate the good work of informing our communities. Keep it up. Thank you for a wonderful appreciation. And Miko Tsilam, we are learning family. Thank you very much for the encouragement. And also Mancharity, we welcome you and thank you for being with us. And Tsepiso Mpahlele, welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in, for being with us. And Ndobe Mhlaba Kedi, Kensa Kwala Giani, Kuwami Yingiserile. And then Tinsolombo Weni, we welcome you and thank you for being with us. And I think I've managed to capture everyone. Family, let us continue to learn about these issues because it's affecting us. The fact that a lot of people are quiet about it, it doesn't mean it is not happening. So We are going to take another ad break. When we come back, I'm going to share a little bit story on a case of incest that I've had. So let us go on an ad break. When we come back, I will share with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Streaming 24/7.
24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika, nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika, nakupenda sana.
Welcome to Bold Moves Radio. I'm your host, Eugenia Baloyi or Zuni Baloyi. And tonight it's a special program where we focus on gender-based violence as we commemorate the 16 days of activism against women that started on the 25th of November and it's going to end on the 10th of December on an International Human Rights Day. So tonight we have our guest, Mantandi Mageza from NPA on Section Yasako unit. So we've been discussing more on support and the interventions that are there to assist us as survivors, as victims, as family members of our victims and survivors. So you are in this platform to learn, even if it didn't happen to you, it could have happened to your child and your child has never opened up and they are dealing with that every day when they see the perpetrators. Maybe the perpetrator it's around the family or in the neighborhood. So we are encouraging us or people to open up and also to know the help that is accessible and available within our communities. Before we go on an ad break, Mantandi, I wanted to share a little bit a story. Before I share the story, I want to remind our viewers and our listeners that you are welcome to ask questions, and we are left with 10 minutes to close our show. And then the story I wanted to share, it was a story about a little girl whom the parents passed away. We can call them an orphan, or she was an orphan. So this little girl was placed under the care of the grandmother. So the grandmother who was taking care of her was living also with her son, which is the uncle to this little girl. But this little girl was being raped by the uncle, and the family was addressing it in a family setup like Mantandi was indicating. But the danger part about this case, the little girl ended up being pregnant with the uncle. And when we hear the story, they highlighted that it was not the first pregnancy. And the first one, it was terminated. But the second one, I don't know if they found out late or what, but this little girl was found to have a little child with the uncle, which is an incest. And you can agree with me, Mantandi, that it is common. What can you advise our viewers and our listeners against incest, Mantandi?
Oh, what I can say, it doesn't matter whether it's an uncle. We do have cases where the biological father is raping her own blood daughter. So it doesn't matter whether it's a biological father, it's an uncle. Malume ba sutibe kuwaluma. So all people today are advised to go to their nearest police stations, to the nearest Tutuzela care centers to report all these kind of cases. It doesn't matter whether it's an uncle or it's a brother or it's a biological father. Please, good people, go and report such cases. Don't die like no, we need to report all these cases. Because at the end of the day, vana baba biseka because of all these things. Yeah,
Okay,
we do have a lot of cases of such nature, and people doesn't want to talk. Some people are taking money from those people. We are not proceeding with the case. Come on Monday, you will find them sitting there. We are here to cancel the case. When you check, only to find that it's the father or the uncle, and you won't even force them to talk. That's the problem. And at the end, we're suffering, the girl or that particular child. Yes.
So thank you, Mantandi. Listeners and viewers, remember Mantandi has advised that let us encourage our families to report such cases, because in a Tutuzela care center, you are going to find a holistic treatment or help wherein psychologists will be there to give counseling for the little one or for any victim or survivor to can deal with any kind of emotions that are going through, to work on what has happened, unpack it in order for them to heal. So if we keep it upon ourselves and deal with it within the family, we are not doing justice to the victim or to the survivor, because this person is not going to heal, is not going to get help. But we are trying to protect the family name or however, but we are killing this person who was supposed to get a second chance if they could have access to Tuzela Care Center. Mantandi, there's a question here. They're asking, do Tuzela Care Centers operate after hours?
Yes, they do, because we don't lock. Like now, we do have the NGOs, like Future Families. They are there 24 hours. Childline, they are there for 24 hours. So they will assist each and every person who will go there and need some assistance. Even the cash is attached to the casualty department. The hospital is always open for 24 hours. It's the reason why we are sitting at the hospitals, so that we can get the doctors in time, we can get the forensic nurse. So Tutuzela Care Center is operating for 24 hours.
Okay, so listeners and viewers, I appreciate you for being with us up to this time, and I encourage you to share this podcast on your YouTube and also on your Facebook, so that a lot of people can learn from it. A lot of people can be able to learn a lot from it. So I encourage you to share it with your friends. You can share it on your pages, and also you can share it through their WhatsApp, the link. Let everyone at least get an access to this information, because this kind of an information is very scarce. A lot of times we talk about the types of violence and how people are affected, but we don't talk about the recovery journey. So tonight we are working on the support and the intervention that is available. That's why this information is so key, and I advise you to share. So Mantandi, we are left with 5 minutes. Can you, at least in wrapping up, what can you say about Tutuzela Care Center services? What can you share to our viewers? Maybe things that maybe we couldn't touch on in this hour, anything that you would want to pour your heart out on, as we are almost at the closing time.
Thank you, Zuni. What I can say now, I'm encouraging all the people to report all the gender-based violence and femicide cases within 72 hours. That's 3 days. And the Tutuzela Care Center is an integrated approach to sexual and gender-based violence care management. It's one of the respect, comfort, and restoring dignity, and ensuring justice for all girls, boys, women, and men who are victims of sexual violence. So I'm encouraging them. They mustn't die in silence. They must speak out. And our Tutuzela Care Center is a place where we are turning the victims into survivors. They mustn't walk away from our Tutuzela Care Center. It's where they can get help. And they mustn't worry. We are not going to tell anyone. We do have a lot of people who are coming there, so they must come. They must come and find help. Even if it's a long case, it's an old case. Today I'm inviting them to come and speak to us, so that they can get help. If there is a need that we must make a referral, we'll refer them to the relevant people to assist them. More especially something which is beyond our scope.
Okay. So before I can throw in some few words from my side, we have a question from Patamedi Mohale is saying, is the victim of rape allowed to know the HIV status of the accused person?
Allow me to say the victim is allowed, because someone who raped you must know his or her status. Yes, he is or she is.
Sorry, Mantandi, I
say he is or she is, because someone cannot rape you and walk away and you end up being HIV positive. You need to know his or her status so that they can put an extra charge on him when they charge him in court. Yes.
Thank you, Mantandi, for your time. What I've learned from the last part of this conversation is that even men and boys are allowed to report cases at the Tutuzela care centers. Yes, we've been focusing more on women and children, but we are not saying men are not allowed, or we are not saying men are not victims and are not survivors. But we were just focusing on these 16 days of activism. The main focus was women and children. But at the Tutuzela care centers, like Mantandi has indicated, you are allowed, you are welcome, mostly welcome and more than welcome. And also, to add on what Mantandi has said on Patamedi, I believe that from the health section, they do have medication that they give to the victims of rape to prevent HIV to penetrate to that person. They give treatment so that if the person who the accused is HIV positive, it prevents the victim or the survivor from contacting the disease. So thank you so much, Mantandi, for your time. Thank you for such an insightful information, and teaching us was so awesome. Today, I have learned a lot, even as a host, and I believe that this information is going to transform a lot of our people. It's going to liberate a lot of our people. So our listeners and our viewers, I still repeat, can you please share so that it reaches a lot of people, because this is a scarce information that you cannot find even on social media, someone posting. It's so scarce to an extent that a lot of people are dying from inside because they don't know where to get help. But tonight at Bold Moves Radio, we have given you this special program to say we focus on support, intervention. How can we assist? Where can you get help? So as I bow down for tonight, all I can say is that be vigilant, be an activist, protect yourself, protect your neighbor, and let's go back to Mwana Aiwa, and let's go back to it takes a village to raise a child. I understand that now. Not a village, we have changed the scenery, but let us go back to our original African norms and values. Let us go back and take a village to take care of the child or to raise a child. Ciao, good night.